So good morning. Today's session is the assignment discussion session, but because you haven't attended a couple of the first and second sessions, I'm just going to summarize from what we've done up till now, okay? So you've got a little bit of an idea of when it comes to doing your assignment. So I'm just going to share some things with you, okay? So firstly, I'll share this screen with you. If you can see, can you, oh God, it's just, so let's have a look if we can go on to this. Can you see this screen with all the stuff on?
Yes, Zoom screen.
So then we've got learning outcome 1. Can you see learning outcome 1?
No.
Can you see it now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So when we looked at learning outcome 1, we looked, so I'm going to go through it quite quick because we need to get on to doing the assignment bit a little bit as well, okay? So we looked at the learning outcome 1, which was to use a range of skills and materials to plan your task and assignment, okay? And with that, we looked at the importance of what academic writing is, what the purpose of academic writing is. We looked at the 3 purposes of academic writing. We looked at the different types of academic writing, including abstract, book reports, dissertation, things like that. Then we looked at the most common purposes for it, which was to persuade, analyse, synthesise and inform. We then went on to look at interpreting the question, which was getting a better understanding of the different questions, the ability to use ideas to the audience, and important in regards to using this for the skills as well. We then went on to look at interpreting the meaning. So we looked at closed questions, which is literally a simple answer, which be yes or a no. So how are you feeling today? And are you feeling already today? What was the bus late? Did you go on holiday? These kind of questions, yes or no. Then we've got open questions, which usually start with a question, word, and require more description. So these are things like, you know, what, why, where, when. So we look at these in regards to what the issue was here, and look at the assignment in interpreting the meaning of it. We then went to look at describe the possible implications of a diagnosis of hypertension, and we looked at the instructions that were given. Then we looked at hypertension, and we looked at the judgments. We looked at identifying appropriate terms and concepts relevant to an understanding of a specific question. We looked at identifying key concepts. And we looked at the differences in regards to an example in regards to prokinetic and urotatic cells. We also looked at, so this example was just going through the differences. Then we looked at the differences, a list of common words that we use: analyze, assess, compare and contrast, critically examine, define, describe, discuss and evaluate. And these are the ones that you will use when it comes, if anyone asks you a question, it'll be around that. Then we looked at the importance of Harvard referencing, why it's needed to cite things, why it's needed in regards to doing Harvard referencing. Okay, and we looked at a video on Harvard referencing, and then we looked at the issue around Harvard referencing in regards to watching the video on Harvard referencing, and also we looked at a summary of Harvard referencing. We also covered the different types of questions, and we looked at the issue around, you know, the fact that what references we used in Harvard referencing. Then we went on to learning outcome 2, which I'm going to open up now, okay? If you can tell me if you can see this as well. Academic writing skills, and it says learning outcome 2. Can you see this?
Yes, yes.
Producing a writing skills. Okay.
Yes.
So here we produce a written response in appropriate format. We looked at what written responses are. We looked at the 7 C's of communication. We looked at a detailed plan for a written response to the specific question. We looked at the 5 conventions of academic writing, so cohesion, clarity, consistency, conciseness, and completeness. And we looked at these so we could follow a logical pattern and provide a logical argument and the importance of these. So we looked at planning, why planning was so important, why the main body is important, and the conclusion. Then we looked at spidergrams, which we'll refer to in a little while again, and I'll identify what they are and why they're used in regards to doing a CV. We looked at to plan and write a coherent logical response to a specific question. We then looked at presenting the response in an appropriate format. We looked at the main body. We looked at the conclusion, the importance of this, and then we looked references to that. Then we went on to learning outcome 3, which is again on which we did a little bit, we did yesterday. So I'll just summarize that a little bit for you. We looked at yesterday at the use of language, style, and conventions appropriate to academic writing. We looked at the language and the styles, so why it's appropriate to use certain language, key terminology, so what a pronoun is. We looked at a video on academic writing. We also looked at the acceptable writing as well, written language conventions. We gave you an example of what jargon language is and what professional language, formal languages. We looked at an activity in regards to what a pronoun is, and then why not to talk in first person and write a list of third person words. And the different types of reports, formal, format, assessment, report, and presentation. We looked at the standardization element, and then we looked at appropriate style and registering awareness of audience. We looked at the different styles, so factual text, we looked at what it was, we looked at academic text, what that was, similar to factual text. We looked at official texts, we looked at instructional texts, and we looked at the journalistic texts and the importance of these. So explain one. Fictional texts we also identified, such as poems and stories. And then we looked at a range of sources in regards to that and references. We then went on to look at, which we haven't had a look at, but here. So we've got a spidergram, okay? And this is when you're planning a CV using a spidergram. So this is a spider diagram Michael drew for planning his curriculum vitae. So to do his CV, he put the main topic in himself, which is me, my CV, my work, my education, my qualities and my hobbies. And then he took a spidergram. Why do you think spidergrams are so important to use? Does it get your brain thinking?
Yes, it does a little bit.
Yeah, it gets your brain thinking on what you should be doing, how you should be doing it, and maybe approaching it. So what he's done in his education part for his CV, he's done catering NVQ, college evening class, school, GCSE economics, English, and computer skills. Then you've got work, and he's put catering, a chef, waiter, pubs, it's been there 4 years, and weekend work. And then the qualities is here, customer skills, timekeeping, enthusiastic, and then the hobbies here, sailing and making kites. So he's put this, and he's going to make his CV from this. So the central bit is the idea, the main concept, and then he wanted to include things like his history, his work, his personal qualities, his educational background, and hobbies. Tips to include in your spidergram, if you're ever doing a spidergram on any area, is to look at new things to the spidergram, add a new branch if you need one. For example, Michael could have added information and voluntary work he's done. The spidergram can be as small or as big as you want it. So you just branch off as much as you want. This is in regards to a spidergram. Then we've got another element of it is that the assignment bit? Let me just have a look. So this is how to interpret. Can you see this? How to interpret essay questions?
Yes, I can see that.
Okay. So you need to fully understand what a question means before you can hope to answer it. It's worth taking time over this process that you don't avoid writing a brilliant essay about the wrong issue. Below is a two-step guide which will help you. Step 1 should help you understand the question, and step 2 will help you get started. So step 1, you need to identify 2 components within a title. The subject matter. So this is just example and additional stuff for you to look at when you're doing your assignment. This is the terms, phrases, theories, and all debates you are being asked to write about. Questions often address a key issue or debate within a given area of study. Instructions that tell you what to do with the subject matter. Sometimes instructions are explicit in the form of direction or process words, which can fall into 2 categories: descriptive and analytical. Descriptive direction, words such as define, state, describe, summarize, and outline require you to describe something in your own words. They test your ability to research, prioritize and sequence material. Analytical direction, words such as account for, criticize, discuss, assess, and justify require you to make a stance on an issue or debate. At other times, instructions may be implicit, that is hidden within the phrasing of the title. You must read the questions, such questions carefully to work out what to do. Examples: explain and assess Locke's reasons for rejecting the notion of innate ideas. The subject is Locke's reason for rejecting the notion of innate ideas. To answer the question, you must know what the notion of innate ideas is and to be able to identify Locke's reasons for rejecting it. The instructions are explain Locke's reason for rejecting the notion of innate ideas and assess Locke's reasons for rejecting the notion of innate ideas. B, a leading actress, Harriet Walter, has recently written, we tend to think of character as something psychologically coherent or consistent. Shakespeare doesn't seem to think of characters like this. Do you agree? The subject matter is that we usually expect dramatic characters to be psychologically coherent and consistent, and the Shakespeare thinks of them differently. The instructions are this time are not so explicit. You should probably choose to explain or interpret what Harriet Walters meant. She wrote what she did, and them to justify whether or not you think she was right. You may need to illustrate your case with examples. Step 2, rewrite a title of a series of smaller questions. Sometimes it's difficult to keep the meaning of an essay title fixed in your mind because it is phrased a simple way. This can make you wonder from the point you're reading and writing, the process of rewriting a whole question into a series of smaller questions or phrases can provide a focus of thinking, researching, and structuring your response. Okay, so examples, returning to the titles above, we could ask the following questions. What are innate ideas? What were Locke's reasons for rejecting the notion of innate ideas? What evidence is there to justify this claim? What alternative viewpoints are there? Would we agree to Locke today? What does psychologically consistent or coherent mean? Do you tend to think of characters? Does Shakespeare tend to think of characters as psychological, coherent, or consistent? If not, how does this seem to think about illustrating? Be careful not to pick out words and phrases you understand and ignore the whole meaning. For instance, just 1 minute. So pick out words and phrases you understand and ignore the whole meaning. The whole meaning, you could read notion and simply write down everything you know about them. Twist the meaning of the title to match what you already know or want about the topic. Watch out for the following two. You may misinterpret a question because you don't understand the subject matter. It's impossible to understand a topic, key phase, or identify debate if you don't know. Sometimes you need to have some background reading to get started. Don't be afraid to look into subject encyclopedias or general text to a general picture. Despite thinking and researching, you may not still understand the phrasing of the title. If this happens, you have several options. You could seek help from peer lecturers, or study support services. You could also choose a question. At the very least, you could begin your essay by outlining your interpretation. Sometimes you may have to set your own parameters for discussion. Some essay titles are daunting because they include so much. For example, feminism has failed. Discuss your course description, and lectures should have some pointers, but also need to pick out a particular dimension to focus on. This is perfectly this is perfectly acceptable as long as you tell your reader what you need. And these are some references, okay? And these are some common used direction words that you could use: account for, analyze, comment, compare, contrast, discuss, evaluate, illustrate, explain, justify, outline, review, prove. These are all some of the words that you could use, okay? So let's go back to the assignment bit now. So let's see this. I think this is the assignment part. Can you see this? It says academic writing skills assignment brief.
Not yet.
Just 1 minute, stop sharing, and then let's go back to sharing it again. Right, okay. So can you see this now?
Yes, yes.
Can you see this?
I can see.
You can see it. Can Boniface, can you see it as well?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so
please.
okay, so this is your assignment area. Okay, so this is what you need to do. So you will have to do, there's two parts to it. Part one, indicative content. So assignment title is part A is draw up a plan for written response to a question. Part B is to provide a written logical response. This essay must be specifically for this unit. So the unit academic writing skills, code 1385370. And the assignment is this is a student declaration that you need to complete when you're doing it. Here is the assignment brief. So assignment brief is in this, it's here, and it is in regards to what you need to do for your assignment, okay? So you've got two bits of the assignment. So part A, you need to draw up a plan for a written response. So there's two parts to it. Part A and part B must be the same question, must be for the same question. So you need to draw up a plan for a written response for a question. That would be 250 to 500 words, learning outcome 1, learning outcome 2, and learning outcome 3. In this, you must interpret the meaning and implications of the question. So you must unpack the question. So you must have learning outcome 1.2. You must identify some appropriate terms and concepts relevant to an understanding of the question, which is learning outcome 1.1. You must explain the impact of the target audience on the selection and use of information, learning outcome 3.1. You must draw up a plan for a written response to the question, which is learning outcome 2.1. And then part B, you must present a logical and reasoned response in 750 to 1,000 words to the question planned in part A, learning outcome 2, learning outcome 3, and then you must ensure that the response to the question is logical, appropriate and reasoned. Okay, 2.2, use appropriate language and register, which is learning outcome 3.2. The written response must be a genuine, appropriate for the subject area. The work presented must be at appropriate academic level, so level 2, and use accepted academic conventions. Sources must be acknowledged using Harvard referencing conventions, and ideas and information must be expressing using standard English. This essay must be written specifically for this unit and not used elsewhere for other units. So you've got 2 tasks to do, okay? Here, so you need to look at, number 1, you need to, the learning outcome is analyze a specific question in context of a particular subject area. 1.1 is to interpret the meaning and implications of the specific question. You need to, 1.2, identify appropriate terms and concepts relevant to an understanding of the specific question. Then number 2, learning outcome 2, you need to produce a written response in an appropriate format. Here you need to devise, in 2.1, devise a detailed plan. And then you need to, for a written specific question, you need to have a written response to a specific question. 2.2, you need to present the response in an appropriate format. Then you need to, 2.3, present a response, 2.2, use the logical response to the specific question. You need to have learning outcome 3, which is use language, style, and conventions appropriate to the academic writing. You need to look at writing accurately following accepted written language conventions. You need to be able to use appropriate style and register written language. You need to use accurately a standard form of referencing. Okay, this must all be done for your assignment. So there's 2 parts to the assignment, and you need to do these for your assignment. Okay, so this is the assignment area here. Okay, so you need to be looking at part A and part B. So you need to draw up a written response, and then you need to present a logical response in 750 words. Okay, there are on Moodle additional information for you to look at in regards to this and how you would approach this if you have any issues. But this is the main thing around it. Okay, has anyone got any questions?
No.
Will you be okay with doing that? Yes. Boniface, have you got any questions or anything?
Right. I think I don't have the lesson outcome 1 and 2.
Yeah, if you go onto Moodle, you'll get learning outcome 1 and 2 from there. Okay. Okay, you need access on Moodle is for the learning outcome 1 and 2 is on Moodle, and you need to go onto Moodle and get them in response to doing the assignment, and any sort of additional information, any journals, anything will be on Moodle for you to work around. Okay. So you need to go into Moodle to get the slides for learning outcome 1 and 2, which I quickly went through, but when you need to do it for your assignment, you need to go get the learning outcomes from Moodle, and then on there, the resources, any sort of additional resources, everything is on Moodle for you to have a look at. Have you got access to Moodle?
Yes, yeah, I've got it. If I go through and I don't get it, I will give you a shout so that
Yeah,
you can
you
help
just
me
need
get
to, if you don't have access to Moodle, you just need to contact LearnerWorks, that email address, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Have you got any
Okay,
other
thank you.
questions, Rosemary?
No.
So this is the final session today. Make sure when you're doing your assignment and things, you use the Harvard system for referencing. You use how to acknowledge things. You need to reference your sources, and you need to be using the academic style of writing as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So has anyone got any questions before we finish off?
That's it.
So this is your last session. Make sure you go onto Moodle, make sure you look at the resources on Moodle, and make sure you use the extra resources that are available to you on Moodle, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
So what we'll do now, we'll finish this session, and it's your last session. And then you need to submit your work to LearnerWorks after. So you've got time now to do part A and part B and get on with doing this now, okay?
All right.
Okay, then. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. All right.